The Pittsburgh Foundation is going to be tapping the second largest bequest in its history to tackle the growing challenge of suburban poverty. Raymond Suckling, a longtime Sewickley resident and former Koppers engineer, left $37 million to the Heritage Valley Health System, the Sewickley Library, and to the foundation to benefit low-income youth and families in and around Sewickley, which might seem a bit odd. After all, Sewickley is one of our region's wealthier communities, and yet it, like a number of other pockets of prosperity in our region, is surrounded by older, less fortunate towns that in many cases have never fully recovered from the collapse of our industrial economy a generation ago. Poverty is no longer confined to the region's urban core. It's come to the suburbs. Jeanne Pearlman is Senior Vice President for Program and Policy with the Pittsburgh Foundation, and Sarah Harris is President of the Quaker Valley School Board and a member of the Sewickley Library Board. And welcome. Good to have you both here.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, what a wonderful gift and an opportunity for everybody in and around Sewickley, huh?
It's a wonderful gift. It's a generous gift, and it reflects Mr. Suckling's love for Sewickley. It was his home. He was very attached to it and everything that goes on in that community, but he also cared about the people who live around Sewickley and about their struggles with poverty and caring for children, and he really, really understood what people needed.
Well, it's a good, Quaker Valley, one of the excellent school districts in the region, but you really do serve a very mixed population, right?
We do. People don't appreciate. We draw from 11 municipalities, and the guideline that school districts use are students that fall on something called the free and reduced lunch. And that we have about 17%, but as Jeannie and I say, that just tells you the kids who qualify, but there's a whole nother population that's not far away from falling into that. They might get themselves out of it, but it's going back and forth. And this is something used across the state to have school districts keep an eye on this part of their population. And Quaker Valley, it's always been a piece of our community. It's not necessarily just new, it's always been there, and it's an important part, and it's a part that we can serve through the district and also the library.
And also the library, which is really cool. But you hear about official poverty lines and everything else, but I know the work that the Pittsburgh Foundation has been doing really paints a picture that it's a much bigger challenge for the region than it might be seen by just some of the government statistics.
Well, it is true. Of course, we're celebrating Pittsburgh's prosperity that's benefiting the whole region. We look at all the wonderful signs of our growth and things going so well. But at the Pittsburgh Foundation, our organizing principle is called 100% Pittsburgh, and it means that if all of our friends and neighbors and our families who live in the region don't benefit from this new prosperity, then it's not a Pittsburgh way of being. And so we've looked at the statistics about poverty in our region, looking at people who are living at 100, 150, and 200% of poverty. And if you think about poverty as a family of four living on roughly $25,000 a year, it's a very difficult existence. And so we're trying to understand how we can intervene to help people meet their basic needs through our 100% Pittsburgh programs.
Wow, it's an important initiative. How about for the library? $500,000 a year, I understand, is what could start flowing the library's way as a result.
The library board had a meeting on Monday, and we all sort of sitting there, our jaws are still dropping, and it reflects almost 50% of our operating budget, so the opportunity is amazing. And really, though, what we want is to maintain the funding that's coming from private sources. As I mentioned, the taxing body of the school district supports the library.
Now, you have an unusual model there in Quaker Valley and Sewickley. And
that will stay the same in order for Mr. Suckling's generosity to take it to the next level. And I think that's where we're working on what that might look like. We've got infrastructure needs now that can help with that, but also programming and reaching this piece of our community that needs the resources that might be readily available to other people, but the libraries are still providing an endless array of services for free.
Well, it's the gateway for so many people. You think about all the way back to Andrew Carnegie, right? And finding the way forward. So what's the foundation going to do with its share of this bequest?
Well, we're going to follow Mr. Suckling's intent by really understanding, putting Sewickley in the center and looking at a 10-mile radius, all of the communities that are affected by a whole series of conditions, change in the economic structure, closing of factories. We like to say that poverty is something that happens to you, not something that you did. So we're going to try and understand the conditions, and we are also going to rely on our strong partnerships with nonprofit organizations in the area. We have already a partner in Quaker Valley School District. We've worked with the Y. We've worked with a number of organizations, but we want to expand that. And then we want to begin to talk to people who are living in these communities. You know, Brookings did a study not long ago about how poverty is migrating out of the city into the suburbs and small towns. We want to understand what that means for the people who live there.
Well, it is important. Everybody in the region has a role to play, I would assume, to help do something about it, make sure everybody can be 100% right in the prosperity of the region. Jeanne Pearlman from the Pittsburgh Foundation, Sarah Harris from the Sewickley Library and the Quaker Valley School District. Thank you both so much.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Well, next up, we'll head a bit farther down the Ohio from Sewickley across the Beaver County line to check out a new construction academy and the big investment that's making it happen. Stay with us. From healthcare to the energy industry, a multi-billion-dollar investment in construction is on the way to our region, and the building boom is likely to continue for years. Well, now our region's challenge is to prepare enough people to do the work, not just in the building trades, but in all the occupations required to build pretty much anything and everything, from estimators and project managers to architects and engineers. Last week, Mascaro Construction made a big investment in workforce development, $500,000, to launch the Mascaro Construction Academy at Community College of Beaver County. The academy will introduce high school juniors and seniors to careers in construction.
With Shell's investment and the way this community is taking off, hopefully it will be able to retain the talent that's coming out of the local engineering schools and technical schools.
CCBC's new Construction Academy will open in the fall of next year. For today, we're out of time. So for the staff of our region's business and for the Allegheny Conference, I'm Bill Flanagan. Thanks for joining us and have a profitable week ahead.